welcome to the Fathering Through the Storm podcast. My name is Johnny Limpus, and this is an episode which is on a slightly different topic, which I think you're all going to enjoy. But before I introduce it, I just wanted to take a few moments to say a massive thank you to everyone who does listen, friends, family, all three of you. Whoever you are, massive thank you. And before I introduce this episode, I want to just share a little bit about what the kind of aim of this podcast is. It's really simple. It's to help one dad. It's to help one dad who might be in a moment of crisis. And if any of these episodes help that one dad feel like they have different choices that could make a difference to both them, their partner, their children, then that is a massive success for this podcast. In order to reach that one dad, however, we have to share it with as many dads as possible. So massive thanks to all of you for sharing this podcast, for listening to this podcast. If you can follow it as well on whatever medium you listen to, then that really helps it kind of reach more people. Now, this episode is a little bit different. It kind of covers the topic of epilepsy, which rather than just focusing on epilepsy, I think it's quite useful just to think about invisible illnesses that a lot of dads have that maybe impact every aspect of their life, but they don't talk about. And you might not even know that they have. And as you listen to this, I want you to kind of understand that sometimes you get acute storms and then there's other storms that never really subside. They're always there. And that's what this episode touches on. So really excited about introducing it and your thoughts as you listen to it. Here we go. Okay, so welcome, James. Great to have you on Fathering Through the Storm. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Very well. It's a beautiful day. So feeling positive, feeling fresh.
Excellent. Good. So it is a hot day. It's the start of the summer holidays today. But before we go into any of that, do you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about you, a little bit about your family?
Well, my name's James. I have a small 5-year-old, growing 5-year-old, and a recent fiance. Recently became a fiance, shall we say? Obviously, she's also the mother of the 5-year-old sort of thing. So we're wonderfully happy, just enjoying ourselves in the world. So, and with the school holiday starting today, we've had a fun day. I was able to take the day off work, and we've been sort of like to the park and all this kind of stuff. The same coffee shop twice, once for coffee, once for ice cream.
Oh, good stuff. Well, I'm actually going on holiday tomorrow. Cool. Spirits are high. I work today, but I'll be on holiday tomorrow. Cannot wait.
Yeah. Flying, boat.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm going to get on a ferry to France.
So, cool.
My idea of fun. So we'll get into the storm and we'll explore that. But first of all, football is quite an interesting moment in the world of football. We've just finished the World Cup. We had
Viva España.
We've had England's elimination in the semis and then the 3rd-4th playoff. James, did you watch the 3rd-4th playoff?
No.
You didn't? Okay, but you did watch the semi-final.
I watched all the football up to that, England's games. So I saw the Argentina game. I enjoyed it. I've heard a lot I didn't enjoy it. It was a terrible second half, but there's a lot of criticism of like how the Argentinians played in the first half, which I think they carried over to the final. But I was just enjoying the way the referee was handling them, sort of thing. So I that was what I kept commenting. I heard this guy refs the final. He's really good, sort of thing.
Oh, really? Well, so you spent the semi-final kind of hailing the ref?
Yeah, pretty much. The first half I was watching with my fiance, and it was kind of like, I hope because he's brilliant. I mean, he's clamping down on the naughty Argentinians, sort of thing.
There's like,
quite well.
Are you supporting England or Argentina? No, you're supporting the ref.
Yeah, I always like a bit of a fair game. It's important. I think you should always play to win and just play fair. That's kind of what I feel, So even when I was a small child, I feel I was always like going to win against everything. But if I lost, it didn't matter, providing I tried my darndest to do it. So,
how do you pass that on to your child? That kind of, because I have a way of passing that on to my kids as well, but I'm interested how you pass on the notion of fair play.
I'm trying. I mean, today is actually getting better because we played a card game today, and right at the end, she knew she'd lost because of the amount of cards she had to pick up, kind of thing. But there was no massive reaction, and so I was quite like, I said to her, "I'm quite proud of you for that one." So obviously, hopefully, she's beginning to learn. So she does like trying hard when she gets something in her mind, like learning to cartwheel. She just did it in 2 weeks because she just tried it again and again and again and again and again. I mean,
nice.
It gets boring having to watch. It doesn't get boring. It's wonderful watching them learn to cartwheel, but a cartwheel's a cartwheel.
what about losing? Do you do any like board games, cards? What happens when they lose? Because that for me is the true test of sportsmanship.
She's all right. She's good. She'll get over it. And I think, just the way she's now beginning to handle it a lot more is better. She beat me at drafts the other day. So I'm trying to teach her that game so we can get onto chess at some point. And she did handle it well, I feel now. So hopefully she picks things up. We play a lot of computer games together too. So
nice. Good
co-op. So yeah, she's good.
Or against each other.
Yeah, co-op. Yeah. So we're both on the same team again. But she gets a bit frustrated if you go and do something that she wanted to do. But I think that's just because things are new to children, and so they want to experience it firsthand. Like I've pressed X thousands of times. She's not done that yet, so it's kind of like how it works for them.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of setting. I'm asking a question when basically I've got something to share myself, which is often a theme on this podcast.
Cool.
But so with my kids, 3 girls, if any of them lose, in the old days they would have a massive hissy fit. Mm-hmm. So whether it be cards, board games, tears, the whole lot. And what we've done, and it's been doing it for 3 years now, is whatever you play, if you win or lose, the first thing you have to do is hold out the hand and say good game.
Oh yeah, that's well played. That's quite a good lesson to teach. Like,
eye contact, good game. So that's whatever happens. And actually, they've just learned that is an important part of playing any game, whether win or lose. So
yeah.
We've instilled it, and now they do it, actually.
It's good.
At the start, there was no eye contact, and now we actually even have eye contact. So it's good. But we're now going to turn to a personal storm that you've experienced through much of your adult life and as a parent. And it's an interesting topic, and I thought it would be really useful for you to share it today, James. So can you just introduce what the storm was, how long it's been going on for you, and we can kind of unpack it from there?
Yeah, well, I've got epilepsy myself, and it was like not late onset as it were, but a late knowing I had it. I was 29, 30 when I had my first like grand mal seizure, as they're called, kind of thing. And that was the beginning of sort of, I suppose, knowing what it was. 29 years before that, there was always little signs like blinking when I was a teenager a lot, and then migraines, and then into my 20s, especially these like horrible like feelings of like auras and deja vu, as if people have epilepsy. Obviously, they'll know what I'm saying, but if you don't, there's warning signs sometimes before a seizure will come where you'll just get like an overriding feeling of deja vu, or just it's a funny old feeling that is a petit mal seizure, it transpires. So I was having all these seizures, but no one was able to diagnose. I believe that's the correct word. I was going to the doctor, and he's kind of like, no, you're probably just a little bit hungover from the day before. Take it easy, So it was a really frustrating time during my 20s, trying to understand what was happening to me when I'm being told I'm doing something wrong, when I'm pretty sure I wasn't. Mm-hmm. So it was a bit tough then. And then, of course, at 29, it all happened in my mum's garden. Just sort of like, woke up in hospital about 6 hours later.
So you mentioned this sensation of deja vu, and so I've maybe experienced deja vu a couple of times in my life, and sometimes I'm not sure if it is, I'm not sure if it isn't, but that seems quite clear for you that it was deja vu when you were experiencing. These are the minor symptoms before you had what's it called?
Yeah, they're quite big symptoms, as it were. Deja vu is a very true thing that the human mind goes through,
right?
But in my terms, my epilepsy, like onset and things, it's a slightly different one. It happens like 8, 9, 10 times a day. It happened to me sometimes, and it's horrible. It was really not knowing what it was. It was more like the misunderstanding of everything and a feeling of like impending doom coming over you. But yeah, it was always strange though, because coming out the other side of this seizure, it was such a small moment of euphoria, like the body would just release and sweat, and I don't know, like the epiphany of it all coming out the other side type thing.
So you had a lot of that during your 20s, and it was kind of maybe in the background, but not serious enough for you to have to confront.
Yeah, I just didn't know. It was just like, it could have been anything. I just didn't know what it was. So you had nothing to confront. You had no enemy to take on.
Yeah. And I guess in your 20s, you do feel a bit bulletproof anyway.
Yeah, potentially.
And then suddenly when you were 29, you said there was an episode in your parents' garden. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I just gone round there. I moved out a long time ago, but I went round there we were just sat in the garden with my brother. It had been like quite a difficult day. I'd had a lot of auras and deja vu up to then, but of course didn't know. And then my sunny day, sat in a chair, and I just sort of said to my, like, Mum, oh, can you hear those birds or something like that? And they were like, oh yeah, it's over there. And that was the last thing I remember. I was down, woke up like in hospital a few hours later. So such like a normal thing suddenly became so abnormal. I've been sat in that garden so many times in my life, but this time it all came to a head, and I finally found out what was going on within a week.
And that was six hours later, you came conscious again. Is that right?
Well, no, I'd been conscious. I'm told these things. I've got no memory of it at all. But I'm told that I was like running away from the paramedics in the garden and sort of saying all these things to them to sort of like leave me alone and stuff like this. And it has been truth. I think that all the future grand mal seizures I've had, there's been a few. I'm not necessarily the nicest person once I've come out the other side for a while, sort of thing, like telling everyone to leave me alone, I'll get the bus home, all this kind of stuff. I think there's a few hours where the mind needs to reset from this, this joyous character that I really am, obviously, to this angry one just after it. So
yeah. And the diagnosis meant that you suddenly got a label or a name for this thing you've been experiencing.
And you never know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like I was saying before, there was no, enemy's probably the wrong word, but it's all I can use that I've got now. You had no enemy to fight. So you wasn't too sure, but all of a sudden there is now one to deal with. You can now confront something, I suppose, because you have a name for it. But that it's a new experience completely. You're taking on your own body. It's so weird. It's like, so you're what I've got to deal with. Thanks a lot, sort of thing. Mind. That doesn't help me as such.
And what was your initial response to that?
I think it was okay because, as you've alluded to before, in your 20s, you're bulletproof. And I was only 29 when I sort of properly found out. And so it was kind of like gradually getting through it all. For the first few weeks, you're put on medication and this kind of stuff happens and you try and see how it goes. But after that, I was kind of like almost back to normal. Like, yeah, let's just go carry on. I don't try your hardest to get through it. I always had a silly thing that if nothing had happened to me by 11, then I was going to be fine for the rest of the day, basically.
Oh, wow. So what if no small signs by 11, you thought actually this is going to be a good day?
Yeah, which is silly, but it was kind of like my way of dealing with it, I suppose, having to put a something on it, a stamp on it to go, right, cool, we're through that bit now. The rest of the day is fine. Nothing's going to happen. That's just an early fear probably now knowing what I'd gone through and how dangerous it potentially is.
And obviously there's medication and you were kind of, adjusting that to work out what worked for you.
Yeah.
But then, so that's 29 and then you find out you're going to become a father. What age was that?
How old am I now? Probably about 38 years later, I think. About 8 years later, 7 or 8 years later. So about 36, essentially.
36. Okay. So
37.
So you've been managing it, coping with it a certain way.
Coping, yeah. Certain ways, yeah. I'd had a few more seizures on the way. I'd lost my license again and again and again. And that's one of the hardest things to deal with, is not having a driving license. It's horrible. And then, so every time they try and find a new way of balancing with medication and things like that. And then I lost my license just before my actual child now was born. We went through a lot of struggles to get to her as such, because we'd gone through 2 or 3 miscarriages and those kind of things. And that was really difficult as well, because you go through these like miscarriages with your partner, but I didn't have a license to be able to take her to the hospital to help her. It's like I have to ring my mother up and go, Mum, by the way, this has happened. We were pregnant, but we're not anymore. But can you help us out, type thing? Whereas that should be something that I should be able to take control of in my family, shall we say? Not having to rely there. And of course, when we found out finally that we were gonna make it, I didn't have a license again. I'd had a seizure, a few months before, and so the DVLA, you got to go, yeah, sorry, that was me, and they take it away again. And that's a process to get it back. So
I guess it's a weird, maybe an obvious answer, but how did it feel when your wife's had a miscarriage, you've got to ring your mum to organise transport to get her to hospital?
It's weird. It's tough. And that was only the first one, sort of thing. I didn't have a license for a lot of it.
Wow.
But we were, we got through. Stupidly, Jude Law helped us through in a bizarre way, believe it or not. just because we sort of started watching. I'd never seen anything with him in, and then all of a sudden everything we were watching had him in at this point that we were really going to try and get, well, till we finally had my daughter now. But it was such a weird 18 months of just like constant Jude Law shows. We didn't mean to, just everything we watched, he was like the main character.
It's not the answer I was expecting, James, to be honest.
Well,
I'm guessing The Holiday is in there. What Jude
didn't
Law?
see that one. No, they're all TV
Thankfully.
shows. Like, he was watching Young Pope, New Pope, which is stunning.
Wow, that's
Went on to watch
Jude Law.
Third Day. Yeah, he was amazing in those, and so it just became this silly thing. I've even wrote a song called Jude Law, which, you know, the two of them were like, could just hear me sing over and over and over again while I was writing it, sort of thing. So I never played it to anybody apart from my dad, I feel, but maybe I should send it to Jude Law one day.
So watching Jude Law, but also you mentioned music. Is that a way that kind of sometimes you manage frustration, or particularly at acute times? We're not talking about stubbing your toe here. We're talking about not, going through some very challenging times as a man and as a wannabe father with the miscarriage, and then later as a father. You mentioned music a number of times. What role did that play for you?
Quite a lot, really. I think, look, when you look back, because I was in a band that had a couple of albums, and the first one's all quite, like, lyrically, it was all quite like, going out, girls, parties, that kind of stuff. And then following this, after my diagnosis, we then released a second album, and you can really feel and hear some of the lyrics. Well, to me, I know what they mean. And they mean something very, very different to the previous album, which was all a bit like, and this album had a few more tracks where I was able to put down how I felt. And I've always used music to let it out a little bit, I think, as an outlet for the frustration that comes with it.
So I'm going to ask you a very challenging question for a man. Mm-hmm. What were those feelings?
I don't know. I suppose you listen back, and it's like fear is definitely one, which is quite weird. And having to, I just got down on paper, I suppose, what it felt like an actual physical, there's one with the comment about the birds before, like it was a lyric where I'd stick a mark in the bark on the day when the birds, they sing to me, which is kind of like, because my mum's she's got an amazing calendar with everything written in, and my first date of my first seizure is still in there. And so my lyric was like, put a mark in the bark on the day the birds, they sing to me, because I heard the birds, it's on mum's calendar, this kind of stuff. And so it's just a way of letting that feeling out, to try and make it okay, rather than holding on to it. You're like, right, it's gone, it's okay, it's not going to come back.
And what you mentioned, fear as one emotion. Were there any other emotions in there?
I suppose it is, as you became more closer to like having my daughter and stuff like this, then there's new feelings that take over, because you've really then always got to try and always be there for your family as much as possible, so I mean, it was always like, I don't want to let anybody down. There's like a feeling of anxiety and a feeling of concern always weighing on the shoulders, which was only compounded by the comment about how, when she actually was born, it was still my mother that had to take us to the hospital, and that should have been, I know people haven't got their driving license, so people do get lots of help all over.
Yeah.
But this is me. I didn't have my driving license, and I had passed my test. I wanted one.
Yeah.
But I couldn't use it because I didn't have it, because I was unwell. I mean, I'd done something that the DVLA tell you have to give your license up for. So I did, and it was tough. Tough.
Absolutely, James. And you mentioned, and I guess I was really curious often you ask men, what's the emotion? And they don't give emotions. They talk about other things, but you've mentioned fear, anxiety, concern. Those are three big emotions which manifest themselves in your music, but also you were just managing through that time. How did your approach to managing epilepsy change when you did become a father?
Yes, I suppose it did, because the sort of trying to work out what had caused it, it was always like, when you look back, like it probably was a bit of alcohol that led to it, but mainly like tiredness and all this kind of thing. And so, as like, you got a 6-month-old that's keeping you up all the time, which is a great sleeper from like 9 or 12 months, which is probably quite lucky. But for that first period, had to be so careful in getting, my sleep in as well. And so I've got my fiance who's like, feeding up all the time. But yeah, I've got to try and also get this amount of sleep in, so I don't do something silly and cause slightly more problems for us all. Because I got it back. My license back about 5 or 6 months into it, which was, I didn't want to lose it again. Haven't lost it since. And it was important then,
That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I guess normally at the birth of your first child, you're only concerned with looking after a child.
Yeah.
And yet for you were looking after a child and you were looking after your own body. So you had to do two kind of jobs at the same time. And if you didn't look after your own body, then you couldn't look after your child.
Yeah, I guess I never sort of thought about it like that before, but it is, I had to be more sensible. I knew that, but it's true. I had to look after myself for her, to look after her, as you say. Yeah, it was quite an important thing really to come out. I couldn't let her down. I couldn't let her see it. I couldn't, had to be there sort of thing. Had to be the one, had to give her a cuddle, had to pick her up. Couldn't let anything go wrong to the best of my ability.
And obviously that was the plan, to never let her see it, never let her down. Did it always go to plan, or were there times where it didn't go to plan?
There's been times like, we got through the first sort of year and a bit quite well, reasonably well. But then, that's all right, 2 and a bit years ago, like the medication that I was on started to really, negatively affect me. And so this, which is, it's a byproduct of epilepsy. I have to be on this medicine because it's keeping me, straight and narrow as I am. Yeah. But after a long time on it, it started causing these horrific side effects. I'm weaker. I got kidney stones from them. And I remember writing a letter to the doctor sort of saying, look, I can't even pick my child up. This isn't right. I completely stopped drinking. I said, look, I fell asleep, during the British Grand Prix. Something's wrong. I don't fall asleep, while watching a race. And I just need to be able to pick this. She's only 3. She's not like she's the massive weight at 3. I'm not like, bodybuilding fit, but, I'm beach body ready, shall we say. But yeah, I should be able to properly lift her, but it was really difficult. And it transpired that, it really was in the end, after like me hounding the doors. It's not me. It's this medication. It's this medication. I finally came off it like about 6-8 months ago. And it's amazing the difference that I've had, but in a positive way, really, I suppose. But from coming off the medicine, you then get these other side effects. And they've caused me small amounts of pain, but really, really like intense. Pain's the wrong word. It's not a physical pain, but coming off that, I've been getting like horrific migraines where I've been like losing like 2 days of my like life. I'm in bed trying to listen to the radio, but it's just impossible to do anything. And once again, you're sort of not able to help, within like the family circle type thing. And it's really, really tough again. And of course, I just don't want or didn't want my 5-year-old to have seen it. But of course, yeah, lo and behold, she had to. She suddenly becomes old enough where she's a bit aware of what's going on. Like, why are you sort of like, why are you in bed like still? Why are you this? Why are you this?
What do you say
when
she asks that?
Well, she knows I have epilepsy. That's been told to her a lot of times. But of course, it wasn't like a seizure. It was kind of like, it's just a migraine. It's just a headache. Don't worry, kind of thing. We're fine. Don't worry about it, Phoenix. So we tried not to let her in completely, as it were, because she's a bit young, but she's shrewd. She gets it. And I don't know, one of them was just so bad, really, that tough.
How do you describe epilepsy to a 5-year-old?
I haven't done that yet.
Right.
Not in. That's a great. I suppose. Yeah, I haven't. I've just explained that I've got something, and it will make me potentially unwell.
Right.
And so if I do have these headaches and get a bit tired, it's that's causing. It's nothing that she's done, nothing that anybody else has done. It's just. Especially since I've come off this medication, it's kind of like it's been 4 or 5 days where, I've just been lying in bed all the time sort of thing. But it's just saying it's just that. As we get older, she's going to learn even more and more. There are people in the world that are epileptic all the time. Like like Mike Skinner, he's a famous like epileptic musician as well. I think he's only second to me in terms of renowned genius, basically.
Is that Mike Skinner? Because I always get this. Is that from the streets?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he's like epileptic as well. So it obviously completely different. I mean, he'll have his own way of dealing with it, I'm sure. Maybe you should try and speak to him as well, potentially. You
And
know,
book
if
him.
you
He wasn't
can.
available. I had to get you, James.
Yeah, it's just fine. I mean, you know, we're nearly as good as each other, I suppose.
And you mentioned the challenges of balancing migraines and kind of managing epilepsy and bringing up a young child. Have there been any acute times when almost your worst nightmare came to fruition? Your body needed you and your child needed you at the same time. Like, if we call that the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, it's tough. There's been a few moments because I read to her every night to put her to bed, and always have done really. Took over the sort of the bedroom duties a few years back, and so if I'm in and I'm not reading to her, you know, something's happened, something's wrong, sort of thing. And there was one time, like quite recently, where, you know, I was in bed and I couldn't read to her. She had to deal with that, and she was absolutely broken. And I wasn't well, you know, and having to deal with my fear of what if it goes now further, sort of thing. I've always got that on my shoulder, as we've spoken about recently. It's always there. I look after myself much better now, so we're being lucky. But I am still in bed from these side effects from this medication, and so she's broken. I can't do anything about it. I can hardly move because I'm going to, well, you know, just be ill again, shall we say?
You're in bed and you can hear her crying out. She wants.
She's you know, come in. She's run into us, and she's kind of like absolutely distraught why I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, shall we say? What's an agreed thing between her and I? You know, the last part of the night is her and ours. You know, but yeah, she was broken. She wouldn't sort of leave, but then she got in bed with me, and my fiance was there too, kind of thing. And that's just one of the darkest moments I've had in probably since she's been born, really. And it was just horrific, horrible feeling. But there I am, sort of lying in bed. You know, she's next to me, absolutely distraught. My fiance is trying her best to do all she can, sort of thing, to help us out. But then all of a sudden, like, she's like, my child just stops crying, and she just holds on to my hand. And yeah, I guess I get like goosebumps thinking about it now still, because everyone just stopped. The whole room went calm, and it was beautiful. I mean, I wish there were more adjectives to describe it better, but the whole room stopped, went calm. Everything was okay. It was going to be okay. You know, we were going to get through anything from that point on. We were fine. I feel it was bliss for me, however, selfishly thinking about being like the dad, I suppose. I mean, Fathering the Storm, the name of the podcast. So this bit can be about me. It was an absolute release. I mean, I wish that you could bottle this stuff. As they say, Johnny, you would make a mint if you were able to put this feeling into a bottle. Yeah, stunning. And since then, I think, yeah, I felt a bit better about everything, because I know we're cool. She accepts me, whatever's going to happen. You know, she kind of has to, I suppose. And I've dealt with that and sort of, yeah, right, it's fine. She has to deal with me. I have to deal with her. We're the same people that love each other. Simple as that. But it was, just moment of bliss, moment of calm. And then she went to bed without me, you know, so it was perfect night.
It's nice, isn't it? You said she accepts me as I am. We love each other.
Yeah. I mean, well, she got no choice, I suppose, if you would have really cut it down to it. But you needed some sort of proof of it, shall we say, I guess. And there it was, in a simple holding of the hand. It wasn't me taking her hand and sort of like, it was her reaching out to me almost and sort of going, look, you're probably the one that needs this now.
Wow.
You know, and so, yeah, hopefully, maybe I'm overreading what she was thinking, but maybe, just maybe, she knew what she was doing, you know, to make it all right for all of us, I suppose.
Lovely, isn't it? And that is beautiful. And I'm just jumping back as well. You said she's got no choice. And, you know, as a 5-year-old or 4-year-old, they don't have a choice, do they? Like, we're all they know. But equally at the same time, you know, I don't know, I guess they haven't got a choice then, but it expands out where they will have a choice.
Yeah, they'll learn more and more and more, won't they?
And it's nice that I guess she did have a choice as to how she could react in that moment.
Yeah.
And what she chose seemed to be the perfect choice for you, for your fiance, for the whole family at that time.
Yeah, it was great. It was a good, I mean, you could say it was a tough thing for a 5-year-old to take on her shoulders, but she did. She got it.
I mean, I was going to ask Yeah, I was going to ask, what did you learn about yourself there? But what's changed?
I don't know. We're pretty, and it seems to be she's more grown up from that point straight away. She's not the like the baby, I suppose, that you were trying to look after all along. She's growing into, as other fathers will say, you can really see them growing into their own character now. And ever since, I mean, it's probably about half a year now ago, like a year ago that happened properly. And since then, she's really like gone to school and blossomed more and more and more. So yeah, not got really much more to add to that apart from it was just such a wonderful wave that has sort of gone over us now and disappeared. That one's not coming back. There might be another one coming, but that's the big one. That's the storm. That's like the wave, that's gone over. It's past.
Yeah, it's nice. And I guess there may be other fathers experiencing something similar. And when I'm talking about something similar, I'm talking about having challenges with your own health whilst trying to be there for your family, your children. You've explained in some detail what that looks like, what that can feel like on a day-to-day basis. Storms have passed. You've experienced some acute ones. You've always got that constant concern about the storm. What have you learned that you think might be of use to maybe a dad right now who's just been diagnosed with something, or who's just had a real setback and is very concerned about their ability to be there for their loved ones? Have you got any kind of shared experience that might be useful for them?
Well, I understand where it will be coming from, so I can offer that to begin. Just a small level of understanding of how everyone's going to feel it differently. I mean, you mentioned about stubbing your toe like a while back type of thing. Everyone feels something different when they stub their toe, but they still feel something. So I can share that and offer hopeful reassurance that it is gonna get a bit better. But you've got to accept the situation first for yourself before it can all get better for everybody. You can't always be what you see or what you think it should be as a father. You just got to be yourself and accept it's there, and it takes time. I think it's taken me time anyway, but you'll get there. I think you'll get there if you just find an outlet as well. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that I'm a musician. I'm able to put things down over there, like you mentioned, put things in compartments at the start when we were talking about football. And it is kind of that. I can put that there. That's the music bit done. Dealing with that, I've got this. It's just a way of getting things out, but it will be okay. And it's maybe harsh to say, but it's because it has to be okay. You can't do anything about it, So the quicker you sort of begin to accept that they're going to love you anyway, in theory, and you're going to love them, it will be all right. I think on the night, as they say.
Thank you, James. I'm not sure who says that. Who is that? Is that Michael Barrymore?
Oh well,
you just
Barrymore in his day when times were different. It was
a great showman in his day. Tarnished towards the end, but a great showman in his day. James, thank you for sharing your story. Are there any other final bits you want to say before we sign off?
If ever I've been for a job interview, they're always like, got any more questions? And I'm like, no, I've got nothing I can really think of now. Nothing I can really think of.
This is not a job interview, by the way, but carry on, yeah.
No, I know. But now looking back, not been an interview in a few years, but I think I'm going to start asking, how do you like it here? I think that's the question to ask.
Why did you join the business?
Yeah, exactly. Are you happy? Because I mean, if you're not, go change something. Like, in dealing with yourself as well. It's kind of like, are you happy here? Make sure you're happy with yourself. Make sure you're happy here, and then it's going to be fine. Then you can take the job. Basically,
I think you've woven a job interview with a reiteration of that critical point in this interview, James, beautifully. Thank you very much for opening my eyes to epilepsy, but also I think beginning a bigger conversation about how dads manage their own health and parent young children, which I think will come up. Some really lovely nuggets of wisdom there, which is bizarre enough. The more I do of these, I'm hearing similar phrases come regardless of the storm. And it's really lovely to hear that, James. So thank you so much.
I think it's just the human experience at the end of the day, isn't it? I feel
it is.
Everyone's got their own nuggets of gold.
Everyone's got their own nuggets. Thank you, James. Great to speak to you.
Thank you, John.
So there we go. Thank you, James. I really enjoyed that one. It was really fascinating for me to realize how little I knew about epilepsy. And there may be many invisible illnesses, as I said at the start, that we simply never take the time to really listen and understand what is that really like for you as a man, as a father, and to live with. a couple of thoughts that came to mind for me was that the members of James's team that stepped in to help him, his mother and father, when he had his first kind of major episode in that garden, how it must have felt for them and how they looked after him. And also his fiancée as well, how she's in a way been able to flex her life around the kind of unique style of parenting that James is going to be giving. And I think those are sometimes some of the things that we don't always are aware of. My final reflection is the power of a good box set to get you through anything. Wow. Jude Law, there's me thinking it was only movies he's done. He's done a load of TV as well. So you never know what's going to work. And whatever you've taken from this episode, I hope it's of use. So whether it's something small or something major, but if it's anything of use, please share it to another dad who again might share it to another dad, and eventually it might find that dad who really needs it at this moment. Thanks everybody. Have a great week.